Hi everyone. That took quite a while for me to go live. It took almost a minute while I was saying that you're going live. So, welcome all. I had a bit of a riddle at the beginning. We have about 150 people on, and hopefully more people will join us. Just please tell me if the volume is good, if you can hear me fine and see me fine. Welcome to all of you. There's so many of you that have come into the stream. It's really awesome. Can you all hear me? Is the stream fine? Volume fine. Okay, volume is good. Okay, awesome. So as the stream came in, we had about 140 people. It dropped off to about 80 straight away, and now it's picking up again. I'm trying to figure out why this happens, but hopefully we'll have a large group of people in. There we're back up to 140 now. Welcome everyone. This is a very important live stream that we're doing tonight. I want you to share this link. As we carry on with the stream, please share this link as far and as wide as you can. We need to get thousands of people to watch this video. This is very important. It's probably one of the most important videos that I will ever make. And the time has come now. We've just hit 200 people where this information needs to be out in the open. And this video was triggered by a comment that someone made, and well, many people have made, to say that they wonder what it would be like to be in the trenches. A lot of people have said soon we will be in the trenches. There's been many comments like that. And, you know, my simple response is we are in the trenches. We are in the trenches. And, you know, you can think about the title to this video and why the title is written the way that it is. And as I continue with this video, it will start becoming clear. But keep that in the back of your mind. Go and look at the title and look at the wording. And then you will see that there's very important symbolism behind that title. And the whole concept of being entrenched, being in the trench, which is exactly where we are right now. And I'll explain to you exactly why and how bad it is for us to be captured the way that we are. So a lot of people have said, you know, but things are going to get a lot worse. And I always tell people it's from your perspective that something might get worse. How many people in the world right now cannot think that things can get worse than it already is? And I want you to consider that, considering that we are told there's 7.2 billion people in the world, what percentage of those people feel like this earth life they are living is absolute hell? In other words, it is hell to them. What they're experiencing on a daily basis is hellish. And that concept might be different for many people, but they don't enjoy their daily lives. They physically don't feel comfortable. They physically might feel hungry. They physically might be in pain. There might be many things that are affecting many people on this planet right now in a bad way. And those people feel entrenched and trapped on a planet at this stage in a very difficult situation. So the perspective that you come from needs to be evaluated by yourself. And be careful that you don't come in from a perspective of privilege. And you know that word privilege is thrown around very loosely, and it can be used from also coming from varying perspectives. So why are we in the trenches? And this is important to understand. So I literally want to compare our lives to soldiers being in a trench in a war. So in the battles of old, trenches were not dug. Okay, people literally stood opposite each other, one lot on this side, one lot on that side, swords drawn, rifles pointing at each other, and then they would literally kneel, shoot, or storm at each other and start killing each other with swords, shoot at each other with bows and arrows and all sorts. It was a mess. You called it a battlefield. So either you fought on the battlefield where everyone clashed, or you attacked a specific position, which could be a castle, a fort, a town, a city, whatever it might be. And there's been many armies in the past, groups of people that conquered land, conquered towns, conquered many things, where people just lived a life that they wanted to live, and then this enemy comes from the outside, overruns them, they are not prepared, and they are slaughtered, literally. Okay, so this is what happened before. And during the First World War, something changed. The people said, sod this, we're not going to literally run at each other in the open and fight. We're not doing that. We are going to dig in. In other words, the enemy lines were literally laid out, and the two opposing sides would be enemies. They would dig into the ground, into these trenches, and like you see in the thumbnail for this video, and there they will be entrenched. They will literally be in this trench that was dug with soil on either side, and these trenches could have vast tunnel networks underground. Some of the enemy armies even dug towards each other underground, and then they could infiltrate another trench at night. There's many things that took place, and this discussion is not about what happened during the First World War, but this is when the trench war started. Publicly known trench wars started during the First World War. Before then, people were crazy and they literally ran at each other in open fields, often with their families sitting on hills, wife having a cup of tea, while the husbands are getting slaughtered on the battlefield. And it's very interesting that society actually worked that way at any stage. So this is the important part now. How can you assimilate what happened to the soldiers during that First World War and the lives we live right now? And I'm going to break it down for you very plain and simply. Why are you in the trench right now? Why should you be able to smell the dirt? Okay? And there's two words that I used: breath and deep. Okay? Breath and deep at the beginning of the title. And I want you to think about those two words, breath and deep, and what they mean in this context. Okay. So, how deep is your trench? And do you have a breath left? Okay. Do you have a breath left in this trench? Or is it filled with mustard gas? Because you can breathe in whatever you want, but a breath has to be of fresh air for you to survive. A breath has to be of fresh air for you to survive. You can breathe in anything. If you breathe in anything that is foreign, that is not air, in one breath, you will pass out immediately. Okay? Listen to what I'm saying to you now. If you breathe in a foreign substance that is not air with oxygen in it, you will pass out immediately. You will not survive. Okay? You will pass out immediately. Remember what I'm telling you now. This is important. Okay. Then, how deeply entrenched are you? How deep are you in that trench? And if you actually have 400 people watching now, that's really awesome. Please share this link so that more people can come and watch it as we get into the crux of why we are in the trenches right now. Okay? And why you should be smelling the dirt all around you. Now, a lot of people will say, but the smell of dirt is really awesome. Okay? But if you want to be in a clinically clean environment, you cannot have dirt. You need to be clean. And in this instance, we need a clinical environment for us to be able to wipe the dirt away and see clearly what is happening around us so that we can get out of this trench that we find ourselves in. So, what happens to soldiers when they're stuck in a trench? What happens to you? Many of the soldiers literally starve to death because there's a couple of things that happens to you once you're in a trench. The moment you raise your head up, the enemy is going to shoot you from the trench on the other side. Some sniper is going to take you out. That's why the people used to take a stick, put a helmet on top, raise it up, and see if a sniper would take out the helmet. So you are stuck in that trench. if you want to get out of the trench, you risk losing your life. So you might give up your life to be free from that trench. This is the first important thing I want you to learn. For you to exit this trench that you are stuck in, and I'll describe to you now how entrenched you are, and then you decide how deep you are in that trench and how much of a breath you have left, okay? But just remember, every single one of us are in a trench right now. You decide how deep, and you decide if you still have a breath left. Okay, you can make that decision. So you can't just get out of this trench to be free without consequences. So there's very specific things you need to be able to do to survive in the trench, to be able to change your circumstances to the point where you can leave that trench safely or create a place of safety. And this is important to understand. In the global situation we find ourselves in, you cannot just exit this trench. A lot of people are putting plans together to just try and exit this trench. You're going to get shot. You might not be shot literally, but you are going to be taken out by the system that is opposing your life. So those soldiers that are in that trench, they cannot just leave without repercussions. So all of these trenches had secret passageways where you could get out in a place that's maybe amongst the bushes or somewhere where no one can see, so that you can then move elsewhere. That is how it worked. Or you needed some sheltered area where you can literally leave that trench and not be under enemy fire. That is the only way. So within the trenches, you need to be able to protect yourself. And next, you need to be able to survive. Now, what does a person need when you're stuck in a trench? Okay, we'll go back to the 5 things you need for survival. You're going to need water first. Okay, so I want you to think about yourself, and you might think, no, I have plenty water. What water do you have? Where do you get that water from? Do these rations or supplies, like the troops in the trench, are you dependent on a water truck to bring it to you, another company to bring it to you, another commander to bring it to you? Are you dependent on someone that you ask for extra rations to get you extra rations of water so you have a better chance of survival than the next person in the trench? What do you do? Who are you dependent on? Can you generate water in that trench? That is the question. Did you take enough rations with you into that trench? Because now, remember, you can't just get out without getting shot. So you are stuck in this trench. If you are dependent in this trench on water coming from the outside, you are literally subject to someone else coming to save you with regards to water, because this is the first thing that will kill you if you don't have it, is water. The next thing is food. If you're in a trench, you are dependent on someone else bringing you food. If someone else cannot bring you food, you are going to get really desperate, and you might have to leave that trench for water or for food to survive. And you might eventually think, well, the enemy might just as well kill me because I'm going to die anyway. And take that risk and go and try and find water, or go and try and find food. So if you are dependent on someone else bringing you food inside that trench, you are subject to someone else providing you that food. If you haven't taken enough rations with you into that trench, you can die from starvation. So you can have all the water in the world to drink to survive. If you don't have food to eat, your body will eventually eat itself to the point where you will die. So you might survive 2-3 months, depending on your circumstances and your body mass and your fat percentage, etc. But you will eventually die. If you have water, you can live for a very long time without food. Okay. The next thing you need is shelter from the elements. Now, when you are in a trench, the trench is normally open, the sun is above you, the rain is above you. So if you are in a trench and you don't have shelter, you're going to depend on someone else for shelter. Or someone else is going to have to provide you with either a raincoat, with blankets, a safe place to sleep, or whatever the case may be. So how independent are you with regards to shelter within that trench? Where you are stuck. You can't just get out of it. You're stuck in that trench. Okay? The next thing, how do you keep yourself warm? Where do you get energy from? If you have water and food, your body can produce energy, but you're going to need blankets. And if it gets very cold at night, it snows, or whatever the case may be, you're going to need shelter and you're going to need energy. If you don't have energy yourself, your own rations of energy, you are going to literally die from the cold. So, are you dependent on someone else to give you your energy? And we are later going to talk in detail about what is happening to our water supply, our food supply, our shelter, our energy needs, and lastly, our sanity. Okay, so if you look at energy, and we will talk about that at length, because this is a huge crisis for the people in the trenches right now. All of us in the trenches, energy is a severe crisis right now. The last item that you should not depend on is your sanity. So when you're in a trench, you're normally in a trench with many other people. Okay? If you're the only soldier left in a trench, you're dead. So you're in a trench with many other people, and soldiers did many things to spend time together. They played cards, they would do all sorts of things, even sing, opera, anything, to entertain themselves, to try and remain sane under very harsh conditions. So you need other people and things to do to keep yourself sane while you're in the trench. Who is there that you can depend on to do that? Do you depend on other people? Do you get along with other people? Do you have friends? Do you know other people that can help to keep you sane? If you don't and you are alone, you will end up dying. You will not survive. Okay. So, any questions at this stage? We have 430 people watching now. Thanks to all of you for joining. And please, I want those of you that are not joint members on the channel, go and watch the 5th generation themed live chat that I did last night with the members on this channel. Really important information that tie in with the fact that we are entrenched. We are literally stuck in this trench right now. Okay? And if you look at how vulnerable we are, how vulnerable we've made ourselves, you will understand how the global elites have entrenched us in trenches a long time ago. Since World War I, we have been stuck in these trenches because that is when the Industrial Revolution started. Manufacturing ramped up, and World War I did exactly that, where people started becoming more and more dependent on government and large corporations. And the rollout from those trench wars was so symbolic of the lives that we live today. The fact that we have become so reliant on government and large corporations. Large corporations. I just watched a video a short while ago with my family where someone that is building a new home in Hawaii has just installed Google cameras and lights all over their house to make it a smart house. So Google is selling you equipment that entrenches you even more into this trench, because now you don't even have the freedom to get out of this trench. You are bringing the trench closer and closer to you, where you are watched. Every move you make in the home is watched and uploaded, and the information is passed on to Google. How do you feel about that happening? The fact that people are encouraging that and actually advertising that they are willing to put cameras all over their home. That's not just for them to monitor, not on the internet. That actually gives all the information to Google. Okay. Large corporations literally closing in the trenches around you, closing in the walls. and limiting the options. So, how are we being threatened with all of these supplies while we're in the trenches? When did we enter these trenches? We entered these trenches when we were born into a system where we would be schooled to climb into the trench. Immediately. Immediately. You started being schooled in creche and primary school to not be free and go and run in the wild, but to climb into this trench where your safety would be your commanding officer, your school teacher, your parents, or whoever it might be at that stage, your dominee, your preacher. Someone was your hero, the person that knew more than you, the person that was teaching you, and you were dependent on them. You didn't have a choice. So for your safety, you had to be put into this trench where other people had to give you all your supplies. And you couldn't get out of that trench. The moment you went to high school and you became a teenager, you decided, no, I don't like this trench anymore. I want to go see what the next trench looks like. And you will often scramble out of the trench, and there will be fire coming in from all sides. And many of you know exactly what I mean. All the things that teenagers get up to. And the moment you're out of the protection of that trench, fire comes in thick and fast because the system is designed that way. Now you end up in places where you shouldn't be. You try to get into places at ages when you're not the right age. You are partaking of substances that you should not be partaking of at a specific age or any age for that matter. And all of a sudden, all these bullets coming at you, you actually start taking some hits. And when you start taking these hits, you start almost becoming comfortable in jumping out of the trench, taking a couple of hits, and then jumping back into that trench again. But the moment you're inside that trench, you feel safe again. You feel comfortable because inside that trench, you will get everything that you need because the system in that trench provides for you. The moment you jump out of the trench, the bullets start flying at you. Now, you should be able to know what happens to you once you leave school, you go to varsity, you take more risks, you jump out of that trench a lot more, and you get more and more bullets flying at you, and you take more hits. And each time you go home to mommy or daddy, if you have something like that, or your place of safety, then you're back in the trench and you feel comfortable. You feel physically safe, but you are never free. You are never free. And there's always a payoff. And this is one of the most important lessons you need to learn tonight. There's always a payoff for safety. You will very seldom see that safety does not remove many of your freedoms. The main thing is that you willingly relinquish that freedom for that safety. And you are allowed to do that. In the new system that is heading our way, you will not have that option. And that has already been taken away from us during this pandemic, where you could not make that decision anymore. Do you want to jump out the trench? Do you want to take the risk if you think there was a risk? And were you willing to face the consequences? In this case, the commanding officer said, no, you're not allowed to leave the trench. You're not allowed to face that bullet. You're not allowed to face enemy fire. You're not allowed to. This is a perfectly entombed trench that you're in. It has a roof over it. And if you break through that roof, we will do something to you. Forget the enemy. We are going to hurt you. So people, the trench we find ourselves in now is very different to the trenches of the past. In this trench we're in now, we are literally boxed in already. We are boxed in. So you have to break out of this trench. There is no open roof anymore. We are stuck in it. And there is no plan from the global elites to remove that roof from us ever again, because they will tell you that they are sheltering you from the elements. They will tell you that they are sheltering you from the elements. And please try and understand, this is now the third time I look and we have 444 people watching. Thank you so much for coming onto this live stream. And what I'm saying now is very important, because this will bear down on things that will make this pandemic we've just been engulfed in look like a Sunday school picnic. This threat of the weather, the environment, the elements that can damage and harm us, and this box over our heads in this trench that's been put in place now, that's been cemented and concreted in and bolted down. You will have to break out of that trench to go against the system that put you there in the first place. And then you are not going to face bullets. You are going to face much worse. Much, much worse. So we are in a situation right now where us as adults, and now even our children, are being forced into a trench where very soon you will not be able to take a breath anymore. And this is symbolic, okay? It's not literal that you will take your last breath. You will not be able to take a breath anymore, because what will be around you to breathe in will be toxic. It will be toxic. And one breath of anything that has no air or oxygen in it will make you pass out immediately, as I said earlier. Please remember this. Okay, so we are stuck in a trench right now where shelter is used as a reason for the people in the system to control our every move. And the elements is being used as the excuse to impose this on us. And this will become worse and worse with time. Now there's no one on this planet, I don't care if you live in a mountain somewhere, that'll be exempt from this entrenchment. Nobody. You will be found with drones if needs be, and Google will be used to achieve this. So don't think for one moment that you will be able to hide. You will not be able to hide unless we prepare a way in this country, within South Africa, to circumnavigate this and break out of the trenches. And I'll get to that later. We've been going for about half an hour now, and I really want to thank all the people that's come into this live stream for this very important information, because I'm going to be dealing with you now about the news that you will see everywhere throughout South Africa, that the water infrastructure is failing. When I flew into Durban, I saw more than 40 container ships waiting outside the harbor that couldn't bring products in. And you will hear in shops that there's a shortage of certain products. I walked into a shop today and I saw a mountain of toilet paper at the entrance, as well as all the extra walls. These large chain stores are stocking toilet paper now like you cannot believe. And anyone that have been trapped anywhere for a period of time will know that the first thing that is on your mind as a human is, gaan ek toiletpapier kry? Will I be able to find toilet paper? And in my double O Days meetings, I've made one thing very clear, that it's a psychological thing. That the first thing you want is to stock up on toilet paper if you think that scarcity is coming. The next thing you will stock up on is water. So toilet paper will always come first. And there's the telltale signs. I actually wanted to take pictures today so that I can show you. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of 18-pack toilet paper of one brand. And this is not normal. This is not normal. When people expect a rush on an item and it gets packed out beforehand, you are actually mentally being prepped for what is coming. And you should know, I'm not going to say it tonight because I am not a prophet or someone that can profess what is happening in the future. I am telling you what one of the supermarket chains of one of the four men that run this country, Chris de Visse, is telling you. That is what I'm telling you. So, why would a large chain such as Checkers stock thousands of 18-pack rolls in people's faces? At the entrance, you should ask yourself that question. There's a reason why this is done. And it's done in specific places. It's targeting specific people for a reason. So don't fall into those traps. Be very careful what you think and what you do. So think about the situation we find ourselves in now, where we are stuck in this trench and there's this roof being built over us because our government is telling us that the environment is going to hurt us. The environment is going to kill us. So we have to protect you against that environment. And this is where we find ourselves. It's not like the teenager or the young adult that want to break out of the trench have the freedom to do it. No, we have literally been concreted in. And then we are told that, yes, we can move around in this trench to certain places, but within the trench, not outside the trench. The boundaries for the trench is set. And you have to stay within those boundaries if you want to survive. That's it. So think about why you have allowed yourself to be inside this trench that's now being enclosed completely. It's completely being enclosed. And I will talk later about how you get out of this mess. Okay? And dodge the bullets. Because you're going to have to do that. It's very important that you are able to dodge the bullets, and it's actually a very easy thing to do. So most people will think that you get out of the trench and the enemy can just do to you whatever they want. There are many ways to do something to make the enemy irrelevant. And this is what we need to focus on in future. But we've now looked at water supply. We've looked at food supply, we've looked at shelter, and that our government is telling us what shelter we need at this stage. And that they're closing us in this trench because they're saying that we have to be sheltered from the environment, we're going to get cooked, so we need to be completely enclosed. And this is going to become a profound part of your life. From next year, your head is going to spin when you see what's going to be rolled out with regards to that. So I told you that the month of November will be one for the textbooks. I said at the beginning of this year that this year will be one for the history books. That things will happen that you can never have fathomed. And this year has more than delivered. But the next thing in line is energy. And we are seeing the literal collapse of Eskim in front of our very eyes. An orchestrated collapse, an attack on Kuwait Nuclear Power Station, and anything within Eskim that still has a semblance of survival is being attacked, not only by our government and people in government, especially the Western Cape government, but being attacked by the very CEO and COO that is supposed to protect this institution. They are throwing the institution under the bus. And why are they doing this? There has to be a reason why they are doing this, why they are throwing the energy that can be supplied to you within the trench to keep you warm so that you can survive a very cold night. Why that energy is being ripped to shreds. The answer is simple. The simplest answer is always the correct one, is you want it to fail. That the global elites cannot have Eskom succeed. So, why was Eskim created? And we have over 500 people watching now. I really want to welcome you to this live stream. Why was Eskim created? And this will be one of the biggest bombshells that I will drop. And I drop many bombshells, especially in my members' live chats on Thursday evenings. And last night was no exception. But tonight I will drop a bombshell in public. There is one reason why Eskom was created, and was not for you to have electricity. You were an afterthought. Eskom was created for one simple reason: to extract minerals out of this country and ship it off to other countries. To extract minerals out of this country and ship it off to other countries so they can become superpowers. That is why Eskom was created. And you need to ask yourself why Eskom came into being. Elektrisiteitsvoorsieningskommissie, the Electricity Supply Commission, and why they built most of the power stations around the mines. It was not just about the coal. It was about the fact that they wanted to extract the minerals faster. So that entire industry was built around mining. That's it. And then large-scale industry. And now that is going to stop completely. Completely come to a grinding halt. And I discussed it with my group members last night, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the fourth industrial revolution and fifth generation technology is going to change the way we live forever. And as our President Cyril Ramaphosa said, that this is his greatest mission, is to roll out the fourth industrial revolution. Stop large industry. So if you're in any business that's energy intensive, you're screwed. And this is going to get done by 2030, people. By 2030, it's going to be overs. The next thing I want to tell you is that Thabo Mbeki started the path in 1999 when we needed to start building new generation capacity. He made sure that nothing is done, that Eskom will always be behind so that the entire system collapses. And this is exactly what is happening now. So all of the plant within Eskom should have been replaced by 2030. This is not possible. We cannot build 40,000 megawatts worth of capacity by that time. So the only option left is a changed economy. Our economy is going to change, and the energy need that we have in this trench is going to become less. And what the trench looks like inside is going to change. They're going to start making the trench beautiful. Beautiful. No nature, all concrete, steel, and smart screens, cameras, microphones, and everything else. So they are going to enclose this trench. They are going to put all sorts of fancy gadgets inside it. And then they are going to give you just what you need. And no troop in any trench ever owned anything. Everything belonged to their government, including their bodies. And I remember when I was in the military, they said to me, jou lyf behoort aan die staat. Your body belongs to the state. So you will own nothing. And they will tell you to be happy. What Klaus Schwab didn't tell you in detail is why he could say that you will be happy. It's not because that is your feeling. It's because that is what you will have to show. If you don't show that, the fellow sheeple around you will attack you like you cannot believe. And the moment you start a war inside a trench, amongst the people in a trench, You have a very complicated dynamic. So imagine you're in a trench war with an enemy. Here's the one trench, here's the other trench. But now a war is started within this one trench. The enemy over here can just sit and watch this lot destroy each other. So we are already at war within the trench against each other. That war has already started. So anyone questioning that we're in a trench should know by now that we are fully entrenched. And the next thing that everyone should know is that we are at war with each other. No one should argue that. We are being polarized like never before in the history of the world within this enclosed trench. And the race against time now is to change the economy in which we live so that this new smart trench can monitor, track, and trace our every move. But you see, you can't have that many people inside this trench. It can only handle so many people. So you're going to need to do a bit of population reduction to make that work as well. And then you need to be able to keep the people in the trench sane. The last people in the trench, you need to be able to keep them sane so they don't break down the trench, so that they follow exactly what you want them to do. But you see, what a lot of people don't know anymore is that the enemy is long gone. Because you can't now lift up your head and look over the mound of dirt and see your enemy, because a concrete roof was put over you. You are stuck inside. This enemy has long not existed anymore. It's gone. The enemy is not there anymore. But you are inside here living in fear of any enemy they tell you are there. Any enemy can be played to you on a TV screen, played to you on a tablet, played to you on a phone, played to you on any media device, and you will believe that that enemy is real. You cannot physically now lift the lid, look out and see if there's still an enemy there. Because you are now living in cloud cuckoo land, literally. You're living in a virtual world already that is not real, that is artificial. If you believe everything that mainstream media tells you, because the mainstream media is entrenched in one simple thing: to try and keep the sheeple sane by giving them news that they want to hear, that makes sense to them, and gets them to behave in a certain way. And the mainstream media is all over the trench, around every corner, everywhere, everywhere. And the sheeple in this trench will lap up everything the mainstream media tells them. And every threat that is being put out there is instant reality. You don't have to be able to see the enemy at all for it to be real in this new normal or this new world. So people don't ask questions anymore. They will literally just believe something at face value. And this should be a real concern. So, how do we get out of the trenches? I want to finish at 1 hour. We have 15 minutes left. Is it possible for us to get out of these trenches? Is it possible for us to have our own water, food, shelter, energy, and something to keep us sane? Absolutely. Because you see, in the outskirts of these trenches, small little groups of people started meeting with each other. And in secret, they have dug tunnels that no one else could see, that exited in places where runners would go out at night without anyone seeing and fetched extra water. They dug holes in places where no one else knew, covered with cloths, where they would store this water. They would go out and find food in the veld that they would store, dry and store in these areas. And these groups were scattered all over the trenches. These people could survive even while in the trench for an extended period of time. And by the time everyone else was fully entrapped, they could seal their side off and break free. they could seal their side off and break free. Now, these little groups all over the trenches, they try to recruit as many people as they can. They had to do this very carefully, because the moment someone would speak out against what they are doing, other people might want to come and overrun what they have done. Or other people might want to come and infiltrate what they have done, subvert what they have done, and stop what they have done, or even steal from them. Those people will be the last survivors. Those people will be the last survivors. You see, when they found out that they could be on a last breath, they decided that they needed to make themselves extra ventilation tunnels. They needed to know that they have extra escape routes. They worked while the others slept. They put in a lot of extra effort to have those options, hoping to never have to use them. They can choose to exit the trench whenever they want because they have prepared a way. They can come back into the trench and function within the trench without the trench controlling them. That is true freedom. And it's created by people that choose not to be in the trench when they don't want to be. They can leave it whenever they want. They can return to it whenever they want. They have the freedom to do so. While the other people in the rest of the trench haven't given themselves that option. They haven't put in the time and the work and the effort to do so. My next week's live chat with the members on Thursday at 8 is going to be how you get your job to work for you. And I was going to put this out there for everyone, but I think it's very important that this niche information that I give it to people that are filtered. This is very important, and filtering is very important at this stage. You couldn't go and relay this plan to every person in the trenches because loads of people in the trenches would have stopped those little groups of people. And even although they wanted everyone to be a part of what they were doing, they were very careful in finding people that would be willing to do that extra hard work. And they would test them by giving them a little to do, something to do, see if they would do something extra. And every person that would put in extra effort on something, that won't make you know the whole plan. You would be able to see if that person is willing to do something extra. And once they are, then you can give them a bit more information. And you can see, can we actually invite this person to be a part of our group? Can we trust this person to be a part of our group? And if you make one mistake, it's over. If you make one mistake, it is over. So, I hope all of you understand that we are in the trenches, deep in the trenches right now. Our water supply has never been under more threat. Never in the history of this country, South Africa, has more people been without water for long periods of time than now. I have said since I started the Double O Days tours that water supply is one of the greatest threats to this nation. And that is why you should have 3 months water and food storage. Minimum. At least if it's 3 months, you can start and you can gather that. It doesn't cost a lot. Anyone with any sort of income can do that, even in 2-liter cool drink bottles if you have to. So it is possible. No one can tell me that it's not possible. You will get water shortages like you've never seen before. The infrastructure has not been looked after. Our food supply is going to be affected like you've never seen before. And I'm not trying to sound like Donald Trump. This was orchestrated. And I've spoken at length about this in my WODS meetings. How large-scale farmers have been manipulated to become mega farmers so that one day you can remove one farmer and close down an entire operation that used to export to the overseas market. So we need subsistence farmers, community farmers, area farmers. That is what we need right now. People that can farm with items that everyone does not have the capability to farm economically at home. What you can do at home, you should do at home. Every single person. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to be a part of the group that can dig out of this trench and survive. And as I've said in my last live stream with a cock on the dung heap, I said clearly, only when you have made the effort to change things in your life to be self-reliant can you start teaming up with other people that have done the same. And that makes an incredibly strong team. And then you will have options. You will be prepared and you will be able to exit the trench anytime you want. And you will be able to face whatever is coming at you. Without that team, you will not survive. If you think you can do it on your own, you are wrong. In the trenches, the people that grouped together were the ones that survived, the ones that looked out for each other's interests, the ones that were well prepared, the ones that made sure that they had adequate resources. They were the survivors. Those that did not were dependent on others. You can never make it. My grandmother's sister's husband was an Italian. He fought during the Second World War. And in fact, the First World War as well. And he was in a trench. And they had cement bags to actually try and protect him that they put at the top of the trench. And when the rations didn't come in, he told me the story of how hungry they got, that they actually started eating cement. And they were very sorry afterwards. But that is how desperate they became. They ate cement. Now, I wouldn't do something like that myself because I would not put myself into that situation currently. I cannot speak for the people then. But are you prepared to not feel or being put in a situation where you would have to eat cement or feel that that's the only thing you can eat? Because it's happened to people many times before. Are you willing to put yourself into that situation? Now, let me spell something out for you quickly. In the last 2 days, I came to one simple realization that the plan is solidly in place for Eskom to fail and for Quebec to fail. And I'm very disappointed in the people that are orchestrating this. And this is not good news for the country at all. And the rate at which things are happening now, it's definitely adding up towards the date when I said the United Nations would want to come into South Africa and declare us a failed state and literally become an interim government. And that year is 2025. And everything that's happening now is lining up with that time. And it's very concerning to me how politicians that many of you might have voted for are now putting everything in place to accelerate towards that point. And you're going to be surprised to see how fast these people do it. There were 5 South African mayors of 5 South African cities that said that they fully support everything that happened at the Earth Summit. And how they are going to transform their cities now to this fourth industrial revolution society. And what they are not telling you is that they don't care that you have a manufacturing job right now. That manufacturing job is coming to an end. They might lie to you and tell you, no, we are going to build industry. We're going to put up windmills and we're going to do all of these things. You can't get a wind turbine to run aluminium smelters. It's not going to happen. Okay. It's not going to happen. This new smart grids that they want to create is going to only charge flippin' cameras and cell phones and anything that can monitor, track, and trace you. It's all it's going to be able to power. And it's all they want to power. They don't want to power anything else. That is what the evidence suggests. And you need to be concerned about this, because if you're not, your freedom is gone. Your freedom is gone. So, are you part of that group in the trenches, a part of the sheeple that is literally waiting for someone to bring you rations and supplies? Or are you part of the groups that said, no, flip, we don't trust anyone to do this for us? We are going to make sure that we're going to work at night in teams, dig out extra tunnels, create extra rooms without anyone knowing, protecting our area and making sure that we have water and food rationed and stored for ourselves. What side of history will you be on? You need to make that choice. And you need to make that choice now. You need to make that choice now. And at this stage in history, in South African history, you will look back at a video like this and you will realize how profound the concepts that I'm putting out is. Because I haven't created these concepts. This is not my knowledge. This is reality. This is what we find ourselves in. I didn't create these systems. I didn't put myself in the system. I didn't put you in the system. I didn't put us in the trenches. I can only see us in the trenches. So please, for yourself, your family, look your wife, your husband, your kids in the eyes tonight and make a decision. Become a part of that team that is making provisions for themselves. It's not trusting the convoy that's just been blown up a couple of bridges away that's supposed to bring you your food and water supply. Don't be part of the people that depend on that convoy. Be part of the people that make a plan to make sure that they don't have to depend on that convoy. Okay. Make sure that you are in that team. Because if you're not, and if you're on your own, you need to be flippin' good to survive on your own. Because the drones will find you. If you're in teams, you will be able to know how to deal with any eventuality. You cannot do that on your own. You cannot do that on your own. We need people. We need a lot of people to do this. We need a lot of people to become self-reliant and independent in the way they think and do things. This is vital. So I hope that I've given you a new spin on self-reliance, because I think when I speak about self-reliance, a lot of people think, that sounds cute. I'm not talking niceties. I am talking history in the making. I'm talking reality. I'm telling you where you already are right now. And for those of you that can't see it, I can't really help you. It's going to be difficult to help you. Tomorrow at the Freedom SA event in Muldersdrift in Gauteng, I will tell you some profound things. For the first time, publicly. And I really look forward to that meeting. And I'm not going to speak for long. We are there to gather together and to have fun together. But what I will tell you tomorrow will hopefully grow and grow and grow. We need to grow these groups of people in the trenches until the trenches are filled with people, until all the sheeple are absorbed and don't have any choice but to want to become part of these groups because it looks like the right thing to do, because the example has been set. And then you can lift the lid without any fear or favor. and we need to get there as fast as possible. So I have a calmness in me that I haven't had in a very long time, and it's really an awesome feeling. Knowing now that Eskom is not going to make it is a bittersweet feeling. I have to admit, it is bittersweet. It's going to affect you in ways that you cannot comprehend right now. And I will speak about that tomorrow in a bit more detail. But just know one thing, that we will make it, that there are enough people in this country that are willing to dig through the night, because that is what it's going to take. Thank you very much for coming into this live stream. We're almost 600 in this live stream. I really want to thank you for your efforts in listening. I want you to like this video and share this video with your friends and family. Please share this video. I want as many people as possible to watch this information, to understand where you find yourselves right now. And I did not have to speak politics once because it's irrelevant. We are in a state of needing to survive right now. That is where we're at. And if you cannot see that, I cannot help you, and that is also fine. You absolutely have the right to die. But like I said the other day in my live stream, I will save my family first. Don't depend on me to come and save you. Depend on yourself. So I will take some questions now. And it's really awesome to see so many people in the live stream. The last couple of live streams have all had large groups of people join us. In the past, we only used to go up to about 300, but now we go over 500 regularly, and we even had over 1,000 in the one live stream on Eskim. So, yes, any questions that you might have for me? Okay, there's been so many comments. I haven't been reading any of them. Gwen Baxter said, I so wish that I was in a position to prepare and provide for the future, but sadly I'm not. I'm not in a position to make a choice. Very sad. Gwen, that isn't true. And it's just a perspective that you need to change. You can be prepared just by how you think. You can be prepared through who you connect with. If you aren't physically capable or able to do anything, then you are still capable of connecting with people that will do it for you. Because in that community, you will find strength. Just remember, that group of people in the trench have decided that we are going to look out for ourselves. We're not going to depend on the convoy coming in with the food. Those people will find the most vulnerable in the trenches first. They will always find the most vulnerable in the trenches first, because they are doing what they are doing out of love for themselves and for others. And they will only find those that are willing to do what it takes. Those that are not willing to do what it takes, they will be put to the test. And if they show that they will not make it, that they will hold people back, they are going to be left alone. And it's every person's choice how they behave. And there are consequences to everyone's choices. Wendy says, thank you, Des, for your sessions. We really appreciate what you do. Much love. Thanks, Wendy. Antoinette, hi. We have to help each other. Absolutely, Antoinette. Will It Fly says water is plus minus 30 Rand for 10 liters at H2O. You know, that is actually extremely expensive. Back in the day, you paid 5 Rand for an entire 1,000 liters. So water has become very expensive. However, if you see how much fiat currency you have to exchange for that water, it's not that bad actually, considering it keeps you alive. Okay. And if you consider what you spend other fiat currency on. Jonathan, do what we need to do strategically and keep under the radar screen. Prepare for the worst case scenario, plan A, B, C, and D. Nas said, would it be wise to buy a plot in country, build where it's close to mountains? I heard on voice message from a radio where a group of people considering to do this as a group and to go off the grid. Nas, I would be very careful of any groups anywhere. Okay. All the groups that I've heard of around the country where people group together like that, rules are imposed that take freedom away. It's like a little New World or a smart city in many of these. So you need to decide what you want to do. I can't tell you what to do. All I want to tell you first is make sure that you can do everything you can to make yourself self-reliant and as independent as possible. Because one person had to start with the idea that we in a strange, I'm going to dig out a tunnel. And then you're going to speak to the next person, a person you might trust, and say that you have this idea. Are you in it with me? Are you going to do this with me? And then you start working together. And that is how that group might grow over time. By seeing what other people are like and deciding, do I trust this person? Do I want him as part of our group of people that want to be independent of this truck that has to come and deliver all the supplies to us? Okay, Jake's here. For those who can't be in Muldersdrift, how can we hear tomorrow's message? I really would like to hear it. Okay, that's not possible. It never works that way. So wherever I'm not there to speak, to give a speech. Okay, we are there to spend time together. It's a Freedom SA event. So at every Freedom SA event, things are different. And, I might say a few things. The event is not held for me to speak. It's not because of me. The event should be held without me. I just said that I would go to the large provincial events, Freedom SA events. There will be one more in the Eastern Cape in December, and we will announce the date soon. So this is not about me talking. That message is meant for the people that's there at the time. End of story. These people, I don't want you to be reliant on me as a person. You make a huge mistake if you do that. Okay. The information that I share is what I see as important. France says, I have my doubts who want to live in your world. What world is this? The world is what it becomes. The world is what we make of it. And it's not about a world that I'm creating. I'm not sure who you're referring to specifically. We are living in the consequences of the circumstances we find ourselves in. I'm definitely not there to create any specific world at all. Darwin says, take care of your family first, yourself first, then your family, then your community, then the country, then the rest of the world. Absolutely, Darwin. If you don't do things in that order, you're going to really mess things up. Kathy Ashwell says, cut out all extras and addictions. Only invest in water, food, shelter, energy, and something to keep you sane. Then encourage those around you to do the same. If they will listen, back to basics. Very well said, Kathy. And in my live chat to the members next week, Thursday, I will focus on how you can make your job work for you. And I think everyone that has a job somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with having a job, it's how you have a job, okay? Your mindset. Once we're done with that session, you're going to change completely how you feel about your job. You're going to absolutely use and abuse it, okay? 3 liters per person per day. 3 liters per person per day. Okay. You're leaving in your car tonight. Where are you? Oh, you're coming to the event. Yeah, you can sleep over tomorrow night. It's only the people at the event that's going to hear what I have to say. But like I said, it's not about me. There's going to be a large group of people there. There's already people camping there tonight. I hope some of them are watching. So yeah, Doge Kang, I haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Des and everyone, long time. Hope everyone is keeping well and we continue getting through these challenges. The future is bright. Charity begins at home. Absolutely, Dogecoin. Very good message from you. Hi, Derek. As soon as those groups that want to hide in the mountains expect you to give any of your freedoms away for any favors, walk away as soon as you can. Don't even ask questions. Stay away. Very good advice from Derek. Derek understands us better than most. So, yeah, you can take that advice from him. Hi, Clinton, Mr. Superman. I hope your leg's doing okay. It's really awesome that there's still over 500 people in this live chat. I really want to thank you for joining me for this message. Oh, Idrich, thanks. Um, Tamara, hi. Yes, you're an attorney. Tamara says, thanks, Des. I love that because I'm an attorney. So please help. How must I keep everyone happy? That's impossible. You can't keep every person happy. I'm glad you're hundreds, Clinton. I saw Clinton at the Wilderness event. He came out there and I could meet him in person. It was really awesome. Um, this is not about keeping people happy. All we can do, and this is all of us, is give people good information and they can choose to use it or not. I always tell people start with yourself first. There has to be that first person in the trench that makes a decision that I'm going to dig a hole out of here where no one can find me, where I can escape and leopard crawl away and get water and food supplies. So you need a person to start with that. It starts with one and then it can spread from there. So if one person doesn't do it at one start, thanks, will it fly? Say, safe journeys for tomorrow. Be safe all. Um, is your channel was one of your videos removed? Please go and subscribe to Will It Fly SA, the YouTube channel, and go and support those videos. Let's get that channel to grow. Yeah, Naz, at this stage, there's a lot of people asking about buying property. I would hang 10 for now and just check things out. If the only place where I would invest in property would be in a place that I know is the safest under the worst conditions. And that's going to be in a hot, dry place. Now, that's not pleasant. A hot, dry, and geologically stable area is the best place where you can, at the moment, buy property. The safest. End of story. Imran, France is relying heavily on nuclear power. How will their ESCOM be affected? Well, if you actually look at France, they're not, their nuclear power stations are doing great. Coburg is doing great, except for the fact that Coburg is under attack from outside, not from inside. Naz, I will come to Mitchell's Plain anytime. Oh, they removed the one video. It's a pity I didn't see it. Got three in the line, going to expose the news. Seeing I can talk about. You see the bit where they're leading the kids to. No, I haven't seen that video. I will go and have a look, and I will share it on the channel. So please go and subscribe to Will It Fly SA. He's already been under attack for the videos he's put out. But I did warn that you have to be careful with what you put out on YouTube. But we need to get the messages out there. And on Will It Fly SA, it's done in a way that is short, powerful, to the point. And I really like that. Joshua, we absolutely need to extend the lifespan of Kubrick further, but the Democratic Alliance has other plans. Alan Windy has gotten in bed with the European Union, and they're going to do all sorts of deals and developments where Kubrick is a problem for them because Kubrick has a no-go zone of 16 kilometers, and they want to do developments up the West Coast. So there's your answer. Hi, Dirk. Hoe gaan het? So it is better to have a home that is paid for and the ability to move if you have to. So not having debt is important because there's interest charged on debt. So it's not about the having a home. It's about not having debt. Okay, let me just make that clear, people. The most important thing for you at this stage is to not have debt. Okay, and the best is to not to start to create debt. And in next week's live chat with the members, I will go into a lot of detail with regards to that to show you what your other options are, because most people don't see any other options. Twak story. There's many options that keeps you out of debt. Renting is not debt. Okay, listen again to what I'm saying. Renting is not debt. All the liabilities on the shoulders of the person renting to you. A huge liability. And believe me, many of them are suffering big time at this stage. So don't have debt. If you don't have debt, you can use fiat currency to get yourself the 5 things that you need for survival. Okay. Because that's what life is about. It's about surviving. Your life is not about paying off a bond over 20 or 30 years. That is not what your life should be about. There's something wrong, fundamentally wrong with that thinking, to get bonded for 20 or 30 years. Yes, Antoinette, it's wonderful to be debt free. Oh, my 5 pence says you are 100% and spot on your analysis is perfect to the point. I hope that people open their eyes. You know, at the end of the day, I give my perspective on history as well as the future. So people don't have to believe what I have to say. They might even be upset with what I have to say. The only thing is that I will always do is not tell people what they want to hear. I tell people what I believe they need to hear based on my perspective on history and the future. That's it. That's what this channel is about. And after this weekend, I'll be doing videos on my new channel that I launched with one video, and we have sufficient subscribers on that channel now. We have sufficient viewing hours to really kick it off and get those algorithms to kick in heavily when I put out the next videos. So I needed to get enough views to get the viewing hours up. And so, yes, on the international market, hopefully we can grow that channel really fast. I don't want it to take 5 years. We don't have that amount of time. So it needs to happen fast. So I'm really grateful for all the people that went and subscribed to Ground Zero. And hopefully more of you will subscribe to Ground Zero. Those of you that haven't subscribed to it yet, please go and do so. I mean, Ground Zero is where we are going to look at the nitty-gritty detail of many things. It's all going to be evergreen videos, and I will be interviewing people overseas. It should be very interesting discussions because we will hear people's perspective, and it will be to create a critical mass of critical thinkers. Where this channel, Double O Days, is about giving my perspective on history as well as the future. And on Ground Zero, we now have 1,430 subscribers. That is after just a single video. And I'll give you the link to the channel just now. And yes, then you are free to go and watch the first video. And yes. Okay, I'll place a link here. So for those of you that haven't subscribed to Ground Zero, there's the link. You can go and join Ground Zero. Yeah, so every individual, independent person needs to decide what is important to them in their lives. I'm not going to dictate to anyone what to do financially. The one thing I am going to tell you is to invest. If you want to invest in the 5 things you need for survival. To me, anything else is silly. Okay. So Ground Zero is my international based YouTube channel. It's focused on the international market. And the only video on that channel is the launch of Ground Zero, which I did at the Ostrich Ranch at the Cape Polo Club. And there was a large group of people gathered there for that launch, and I did the launch live. So the first 2.5 hours of that was recorded. You can go and watch that. I'm not going to stay with you much longer. Dirk, with regards to Germany, that's a very complex situation, and it cannot get us out of the crisis. What it is doing is investing in renewable, so-called renewable energy, because the only thing that's renewable is the wind and the sun. Okay, the energy that you used to extract it isn't renewable at all. So it's a complete and utter lie, that's been sold to people. Wind turbine is not renewable. A solar panel is not renewable. In fact, they break quite quickly and then you have to replace them. And where do you store all of the stuff? Nuclear waste you can put in a fuel cask. It's tiny. I mean, in this lounge area where I'm now, you could probably fit 8 casks in here with loads of fuel inside. So you don't need a large area to store all the fuel from a nuclear power station. But imagine you have to decommission all these wind turbines and all the solar panels. In Australia, you have rugby fields and massive warehouses filled with solar panels already. So I'm not saying that we won't find better technology, but large scale solar panels for industry will never work. And neither will wind turbines. You need baseload for industry. So what I'm saying is that industry is coming to an end. This is what they are doing to you. You just don't know it yet. They are going to kill manufacturing completely. And you're going to be living in a smart city system, and wind and solar will be able to supply that demand easily. No problem. Joshua, yes. Small nuclear reactors is a good idea. I don't want to go into the details now of that. I will have a lot of intense discussions on the energy situation we find ourselves in. With regards to this chat, the focus is the fact that we need to have that last breath. Okay? And how deep are we entrenched, and how deep will we be able to breathe when we take that breath? Because we all need that chance. We all need that chance. If that trench is filled with a foreign gas that you cannot breathe, and your last breath is of this foreign substance, you will not make it. You will not make it. Okay? You will not survive. You still don't have water, Ungers. Listen, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And I'm not happy about the situation people find themselves in right now. I'm not happy about it. I feel horrible for the situation that we're in. And I knew it was going to come at some stage, and it was never going to be easy when it happens. It's not. It's not going to be easy. But when you have options, at least there's hope. And at this stage for South Africa, there's a lot of hope, because there are loads of these little groups all over the stretch. They're all over the country. They are in informal settlements. They are in rural areas. They are in little towns. They are in metros. They are everywhere. It's so awesome to see. And tomorrow in Gauteng, in Muldersdrift, we are going to gather together at a venue that is stunning. I had my last Double O Days meeting in Gauteng there, and I'm going to be seeing so many people that I'm looking forward to see there. And I really want to thank Marina for making that venue available for us. And I look forward to spending time with you. So hopefully we're going to have hundreds of people there. The last Double O Days meeting, we had 200 people there. And that was incredible to have such a large meeting. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Come prepared for anything. Bring your camping chairs. Bring your picnic baskets. Remember, there's no entrance fee. If you want to camp over, the fee is 180 rand per tent, and then 30 rand per person after that. It's really very cheap camping fees. And then all the facilities are there. There's bathroom facilities, etc. There's a huge lapa that will be the center of where we are doing everything. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be stalls there. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And just one thing that I want to ask, give me a chance to say hi to everybody. I'm coming to this event to spend time and greet everyone that's there. Give me that chance to do it, and don't hog me for half an hour or an hour to have a philosophical conversation, because I'm not going to allow it. This is a gathering, people. This is not a double O days meeting, please. Okay, so I'm a guest there. The people of Gauteng organized everything, and I really want to thank them, all the people involved. So I'm going to say goodbye soon. I need to fly early tomorrow morning. It's 10:30 now, and I'll be driving to the airport at 7 o'clock. No, actually, before then, I have to be at the airport 90 minutes beforehand. So 2 hours before my flight, I need to be at the airport. So I need to get to bed, get some sleep, and then I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the stream and share it. Please share this link now afterwards with your friends and family. Okay, share this stream. And thank you to everyone that are members, everyone with a little double O days badge. Those are the members. I really want to thank all the members that are keeping this channel going and making it possible for us to carry on with this work. I want to thank the people that donated funds to make it possible for me to come to Gauteng, and for the people that have made the event possible. Everyone in Gauteng that has created these communities everywhere, in the trenches, fighting, and that are creating all these little escape areas. Okay, because if we're trapped in these trenches, we won't make it. We won't make it. We need fresh air. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Good night. Thank you. Bye bye. Good night. Bye. See you tomorrow, Gauteng. It's gonna be. I'm really very excited. I can't wait to get on the plane and get over there. Yeah, it's incredibly exciting. We almost have 400 likes, people. Can we get can we get the likes over 400 just to get the algorithms working really well on this video? Thanks so much. Thank you. There we have over 400 likes. Good night.